Okay, I'm George B., President, CEO, Director of US Gold Corp. Here at the PDAC, and lovely to see you at the PDAC again.
I'm being blinded by the sun. It's
Yeah.
really lovely.
Isn't that great? Yeah, we've had some wicked weather.
Yeah, that's good. Now, obviously, I've heard 45,000 people over there is the biggest turnout for years. Everyone's excited about all the metals, but especially gold at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the moment. But how's your dance card?
Well, look, you know, we didn't actually get one of the stalls in the show,
Yeah.
because our dance card is full.
Right.
I can't be going backwards and forwards, so we're absolutely inundated with meetings through the PDAC. People are interested in financing our project. We're one of the few projects with a fully permitted project in a stable jurisdiction ready to go. There are people who are interested in the production that we can bring in pretty quickly, so strategics. So from that perspective, it's going to be, it's a busy time.
It's not just because it's gold, right? Obviously, gold's doing a lot of heavy lifting for a lot of companies, but is that kind of speed to market? I was CEO this morning talking about the need to demonstrate speed to market, the ability for scale, and actually delivering meaningful quantity of gold into market. That's what this new money seems to be looking for. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, obviously with our project, we're set to produce 110,000 gold equivalent ounces over 10, 11 years. But what we did was we focused on that first resource and reserve, because to grow it, which it will grow, doesn't mean anything until you've got a value proposition and a permit. So we've demonstrated that we've got a great value proposition. We're fully permitted. But yeah, of course, everybody wants scale, and from our perspective, we arouse a certain amount of interest from strategics, and those folks are more in the sort of emergent mid-tier sector. We're not quite big enough to move the dial on for the big companies, but yeah, I mean, obviously with gold and copper going where it's at, the thing that I find strange is that now all of a sudden we want to turn on the spigot for production, but there's been a dearth of interest from the investment community, and as a consequence, everybody's excited now, but the supply chain isn't there, and that's why we're unique, because we're one of the few permitted projects ready to get into production.
I think it's quite interesting. I was reading a piece in flying over yesterday, reading the newspaper, a broadsheet newspaper in the airplane. It's quite difficult with wind billowing and seats close to your face, but there's a double-page spread on natural resource investing, and it seems that generous investors are understanding the time to actually from discovery through to production is longer than most people would hope or wish for. So clearly, speed to market is one thing, scale is another, but attracting the right type of finance to the right type of investors to these projects is important to you. North America, we've seen a lot of jurisdictional risk, shall we say, over the past week or two. Does a North American project, is it more attractive than anywhere else in the world?
Well, of course, several reasons. I mean, let's just talk about knowing the rules of the game. We're situated in Wyoming. The state is a resource state. They've got people in the regulatory agencies that understand, we're not subject to changing laws or people grabbing interest in additional mineral rents, as happens in some African countries. So yeah, so that's one thing. Knowing the rules of the game, that can give your investors a lot of security. We also, being in, we're just off the I-80, which is a main east-west route for the interstate system. and then the I-80. So infrastructure is important. We have our power provider with a substation 16 miles away. So the thing is that unlike many projects out in the back of Beyond, and I've been in the back of Beyond building those projects, we have all the resources. So as you look at our capital cost, it benefits from having all that infrastructure nearby.
Yeah. Now, when we were lucky enough to go to the site last year, rail, road,
power, railroad,
power, all
water,
that kind of good stuff, but also people nearby. So that was very interesting to me. But I just kind of was sort of conscious of some of the things going on down in Mexico, some of the things going down in South America, some of the activities in West Africa. It does add to the. It sounds like a very casual throwaway line. We're in a great jurisdiction. We're Fraser Institute voted number 1 through 7 or whatever. But there's a real cost component to that if you're in the wrong part of the world.
Of course, I read a study a long time ago. Just having certainty, about your economy, your legal system boosts the economy tremendously. But that risk premium that you would pay otherwise. Yeah. But also with the infrastructure, the rules-based order in and around us, we can say with confidence to our investors that this is how the project's going to be, and the expectation. And as we're looking at financing now, our finance, that's part of the reason why I'm here, is securing the financing for development. People understand it. And the other thing, really being in North America and being a US listed, NASDAQ listed company, there's a lot of money here. Yeah. But to your point about the generalist investors, now they're waking up. Everything else is fully valued. Bitcoin hasn't been doing so great lately. Metal prices are up. So the generalist investor is coming to the party.
Right. To get money, I'm not talking regular investors. I'm talking about capital expenditure requirements which you may have in the future. You're going to put a economic study forward. You're on your way to releasing a feasibility study at some near point in the future. How are things? What are you focused on? What's left to do?
All right. Look, it is very, very close at this point in time. We've done a lot of the engineering. It's all ready to go. We had to assess the change in tariff complexion of the current situation. Do we buy kit from South Africa, from China, and so on? So there was a little wrinkle at us, but all our engineering is done, and we've purposely kept this project very simple.
Just remind us again, because it's all pretty much from surface.
Essentially a very low strip ratio, open pit. We take an ore, a copper and gold ore, a little bit of silver in there, and put it through a concentrator, and we'll be selling a copper gold concentrate, a little bit of silver in there, and it's very clean, very much in demand at the moment, because the smelters really just don't have the feed that they require. So that's a simple. Keep it simple, sweetheart, is my maxim.
KISS still works.
Still
works. Whatever you're doing in life. So can you give me a sort of sense of timing on this, and have you got the money to kind of get you through to the end of that process?
Yeah, look, we've got $30 million in the bank. I originally promised the feasibility study toward the end of the year, early this year. We're on the cusp of putting it out. So and that's really the gateway to the financing package that we need. I think what investors will see since we put our pre-feasibility study out, there's been an increase in capital cost, inflation, tariffs, etc. But over the same period of time, huge increase in the price of gold, copper.
So we should still expect good margins on this.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well,
and we won't be putting the spot price. I mean, we'll have an indication of what it looked like with the spot price, but we'll have a very conservative price as a base case.
Well, because the name of the game is obviously make money, not turn over capital, right? So we appreciate what you're saying about everyone's affected by inflation and increasing costs in the market, but the metal price is really kind of going some at the moment. Can you remind me what was the PFS kind of capex number, just so?
Yeah, in the pre-feasibility study as of February of last year, we were looking at $277 million of initial capital. And it's small because of our location and all the benefits of a jurisdiction and so on. We anticipate that to have increased a fair amount. Our early indications suggest that. But at the same time, the revenue side of the equation has improved. So it's a very robust little project.
Right, and obviously, having sort of been in the area in terms of the employment factor, the contribution towards revenues into the region is obviously much anticipated as well. What else do you think you as a company need to do? Your focus very much on getting this thing built and get the study completed, get the finance raised, get it built, get it into operation. What's the rest of the region look like? Are there opportunities elsewhere? Have you got your eyes further afield?
So look, I came on board with US Gold 5 years ago now, and we've been laser focused on putting the CK Gold project forward because it was a relatively easy project. We knew that we had the resources. We put them into reserves. We put the permits in place. It's a go. The other interesting thing now is we can now pivot back to what the company was looking at before, which is a potential monster in Nevada, our Keystone project. We've got a great project in Idaho as well, the Chalice deposit, which we've got a plan of operations for, exploration. But we were delighted to see Nevada Gold Mines with their 4 Mile Barracks 4 Mile project. We're 11 miles away in the same rocks. So now, with the interest of the additional funding coming in from the investment community, we can start picking up that exploration.
Nevada is a hive of activity once more, it seems.
It is, yeah. So, just from that perspective, we're also applying a whole bunch of... So we've got 20 square miles. 20 square miles, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? But, what we've done, we finished off some geophysics. We've got all this soil sampling, surface sampling, and now the advent of AI. We're going to put it into the AI sausage machine and see if the results look like what our geologists are telling us about our principal targets. But it's $500,000 a hole, so we're certainly looking to advance that. But as opposed to CK Gold, which is a really great little project and it's going to spit out a lot of revenue, the Keystone, in particular, the Keystone project, looks to be something which could be a phenomenal company maker.
But it feels like you're doing the right way around. In this market, you've got to be cognizant of, I think in the last 2 years have been great for gold, but before that it wasn't so much. So getting a kind of low capex starter project which generates a lot of cash to go chasing monsters it seems like eminently sensible.
Well, that's right. I mean, we'll spit out cash from the CK Gold project, and then out of those funds we can then go and pursue our ambitions. And it's you were talking about the scale. I mean, the scale of what the discoveries that we anticipate in Keystone could be, that could be huge. That's a company maker.
But I think that's what I'm getting to, is saying, the company seems to be saying, don't judge me on 110,000 ounces. It's not to be sniffed at, but at the same point, there's a few things, right? Don't judge me on that. It's a means to an end.
No, absolutely. You know, I came from South Africa, you know, when the Barrick Gold Corporation was American Barrick, and we started the Gold Strike pit, and I drove past and we developed, you know, Gold Strike, hugely successful, and you know, obviously it made a wonderful company, and you know, we're in that same neck of the woods, but money has been tight. We didn't want to dilute our shareholders. We've got only 16,000 shares outstanding at the moment. I'm a shareholder, so you know, just raising money.
Sorry, how many shares outstanding?
16,000. Oh, 16 million. I'm sorry.
I was about to say.
Yeah. 16
I was about to be very, very impressed.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, but
Right.
you know, sometimes there's order of magnitudes to Canada, and then so 60 million shares outstanding, and you know, you know, we're fairly tightly held.
Yeah.
You know, management, founders, we've all got skin in the game, and we didn't want to dilute that position. So you know, that's why we've been focused on CK, get that into production, generate revenue, and then we can go after Keystone and you know, a huge opportunity.
Okay. So you've been cautious with money. That you've got a lot of money, but you've
I'm
been
from Yorkshire.
No cliches on this show. However, you've got money and you've got a lot of money, but you're being cautious with how you allocate that. The focus for you is get this feasibility study done to allow you to kind of conclude financing discussions. Timing for that, it looks roughly, it's a hard one, but roughly.
No, look, the feasibility study is imminent. We're going to be looking at the financing side. We've got a 18 to 24 month build, so we can be up into operation in end of 2027, 28, and you know, a lot of our grade is up front, so we can be spitting out capital to pay off the initial debt fairly quickly, and to start passing some over to the exploration. We'd obviously, with all the interest that we've got at the moment, we'd certainly entertain the notion of a partnership on our exploration, but you know, that's a game plan.
In Wyoming or Nevada, we're talking about exploration, both?
Well, both really,
but
both really. I mean, we've got opportunity. You know, with CK Gold Project, we just focused on the first 1 million ounces of gold and 260 million pounds of copper contained. We know that we bottom out in mineralization. A fairly modest exploration program can, you know, potentially double our mine life. But then as we start looking at Nevada, Nevada is it's you know, it's 20 square miles, and you're drilling holes 3.25 inches in diameter. You are looking for that needle in the haystack, but it's there. We've got so many pathfinder elements and minerals at surface. The system continues beyond where the Cortez complex is, 11 miles down to our mineral rights area.
Exciting year for you guys.
Good to see you.
Just go and execute.
Okay, thank you. We'll do.